fireworkers. Start the party. Start the party. Pack the car and have it done.
Hello, everyone. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Councilmember Rye.
Here.
Councilmember Foreman.
Here.
Councilmember Patino.
Here.
Here. I need a couple of items for special consideration for the agenda. Make a motion to amend it to include the resolution creating a town safety committee, a discussion of resolution implementing personal safety measures, and then the discussion for the same thing. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have no minutes today, Becky?
Nope.
There's no public hearing. There's an introduction of new employees. Anybody here that just got a job? Ms. Hetling?
Yeah, big one.
And she did.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Jennifer Hetling. I'm going to be the new town comptroller, and I'm very excited. I've been in government for 17 years, and I'm excited to continue my career here with the town. So thank you for having me.
Okay. Welcome to be here. Anybody else?
I'll say we were, a lot of people applied for this job. It's a really important job, controller of the town of Fishkill. And thank you to Ozzy for letting the town board members sit in on the second round of the interviews. And thank you to Suzanne Puma for putting this all together. And I think we got a real good selection with Jennifer.
Great.
Ms. Hetling, I'll certainly second that. It was just really great getting to know you. And we appreciate everybody else that applied as well. Really great candidates, but you stood out and we're very, we know we're going to be in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not a position which faces the public very often, but over the past few years, residents who have watched our meetings or attended our meetings, particularly around budget time, have gotten an appreciation for how demanding the position of comptroller is, exactly how difficult and challenging it is to keep all of the numbers right here at the front of mind and be able to recall them at a moment's notice. It's what our previous comptroller did, and it's what we knew we needed to be able to replace in kind with someone who has that skill set and that attention to detail, and with our selection here, someone who has experience working locally and lives locally as well. And those are all things which to me recommended an excellent candidate, and I'm happy to welcome her to Town of Fishkill.
Yes, and I'd like to thank my predecessor, Supervisor Robert Lacola, for helping me with this interview process, and all the board members and the HR director, Suzanne Puma. It went nice and smooth. I think we had like 45 applicants. We got it whittled down to about 3, and we all decided on Ms. Hetling as being the best candidate for this position. And I thank everybody for working together to make this get done in a very quick and efficient manner. Thank you all. Let's see, before we go on to privilege of the floor items, I'd like to read a statement about the gun incident that happened 2 weeks ago at Town Hall. Dear Fishkill resident, on March 20th at around 10 a.m., a resident came into Town Hall to pay his water bill. During the encounter, he displayed a handgun in a brief moment of bravado. The employee told him to put it away. He did, and he left. The employee was busy until around 12:30 when they sent me a text regarding the incident. After I completed a call to Washington, D.C. regarding the police body cameras, I checked my text messages and called the employee at 1 p.m. The employee stated that he only showed the gun and that she did not think it was a threat. The employee also stated to me that they would have called the police immediately if they believed they were threatened. Around 1:15, Councilman Foreman arrived at Town Hall for his daily walkthrough. He spoke to the employee and left. Town Clerk Becky Tompkins and Councilman Totino were also notified as to what was happening shortly after. I arrived at Town Hall a little after 6 p.m. before that town board meeting. I interviewed the employee and asked them to replicate what happened, and they did. Around 6:30, I called the police, and they arrived and took over the incident. On March 21st, the police went to the home of the defendant and seized his firearm. He was advised to turn himself in later. He arrived and was booked and processed at around 4 o'clock. He was charged with menacing and given an order of protection. He was released on his own recognizance and has a valid New York State pistol permit holder. The man was 89 years old, 89 years old, a lifetime resident of the town of Fishkill, and is a hometown hero veteran. In short, he made an error of judgment. He was never a threat to the employee or anyone else in Town Hall. I want to make something clear due to a newspaper story that is posted on the Fishkill Town Police Facebook page that stated, "Elderly man arrested after waving gun around Town Hall." I followed up with the employee again to check, and they affirmed to me multiple times that there was no gun waving. Chief Dworkin on March 29th wrote, "You are correct. The gun was displayed. We have no evidence that indicates it was waved around. I don't know where that information came from, but it's not consistent with our investigation." However, this incident has been exacerbated by Fishkill Councilman Brian Rye, who stated that the defendant was waving a gun. That is a false statement. Rye also stated that no other elected official knew about the incident, while in fact Councilman Foreman and Totino, along with the town clerk, Becky Tompkins, were aware of the incident. Rye also stated he contacted town hall staff to find out what was going on, yet he never spoke with the employee who was involved in the incident. I take safety of the town very seriously. As a retired police officer, I do my due diligence as required by New York State town law and the employee handbook. Everything was handled by the book. I wanted to make sure that since this involved the citizens' Second Amendment rights, it was handled properly. As your town supervisor, it's my duty to remain calm and handle situations at a proportional level. When false information is spread to the public, it only creates panic and division. If you have any questions, please contact me anytime at a board meeting or at supervisor@fishkill-ny.gov. That's what I got to say. Now I'm going to open it up for privilege of the floor for general town items. Anybody wish to speak about anything regarding the town of Fishkill? It's your time. Mr. Olkin?
Good evening, Supervisor, Town Board, and fellow citizens. My name is Carl Oken. I'm a resident of Fishkill, and I'm here representing the Beacon Elks Lodge, number 1493. The Beacon Elks Lodge are part of a grand lodge of elks across the United States of America that are 156 years old, and they're called the Benevolent and Protected Order of Elks. This year alone, basically, we're there for our community to help our community. This year alone, we've contributed over $80 million nationwide to our communities. And at the Beacon Lodge, we are now 100 years old. The Grand Lodge and the Lodge of Elks throughout the United States is 156 years old. And at the Beacon Lodge location, we are 100 years old this year, our birthday being July 17th of this year. I bring this to the board, inviting the board to participate. We're going to have festivities of a parade in Beacon. And we've invited the fire departments, police departments, local elected officials, residents. We're reaching out to businesses in the communities. Although our lodge is called the Beacon Lodge, it's only because it's located in Beacon. Our territory really belongs to East Fishkill, Beacon, Cold Spring, and Wappingers Falls, and all those little hamlets that fall in between. So we're inviting everybody to participate and help celebrate our 100th anniversary. Some of the things that the Elks have done regarding Fishkill activities, they've been a big supporter in the past of the drug awareness program, especially back in the early 2000s. There has been multiple times when we've honored firemen, volunteer firemen in the Rombau Fire District, the Pico Fire District, Slater Chemical, and Dutchess Junction. We've been large contributors to the Fishkill Food Pantry, the Cadets Program, the Scouts, and the list goes on and on and on with everybody that we've tried to help in our community. So we're asking the community they could help join in with us and celebrate it, and everybody's invited. We sent some information to Town Hall. If you guys didn't get it for some chance, I can send it again. And we're going to have a parade on Main Street. Basically, it's going to start at the City Hall. It's going to come down Main Street and go over across Teller Avenue onto Route 9D. And if anybody wanted to bring their company into it, walk along other people in the parade with companies, youth, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Lions Club, the Chamber of Commerce, whatever organization would like to join in with us and celebrate, everybody's more than welcome. So if there's any questions, they could always contact me. I have my phone number. It's 914-474-1891, and I'm the chairman of the 100th Anniversary Committee, and I look forward to everybody joining with us and participating in this year's celebration.
Outstanding.
I thank you very much for your time and the town's time, and hopefully everybody on TV saw this too, so we can have a lot of people there. Thank you.
Carry on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Joe, can we find that email? I know I got your email. I read it. I got to find it now. Can you send it back to me? Okay. He sent it to us. Ms. LaGoy?
Hi, Ann LaGoy, resident of the town of Fishkill. I want to read two statements. One is an official statement from the Keep Fishkill Beautiful volunteers in regards to the decision, the recent decision of the Village of Fishkill Planning Board, which will impact us all. On March 21st, the Village of Fishkill Planning Board approved Jackson and Maine LLC's application for a special use permit to build 56-unit apartment complex at Jackson and Maine. The Village of Fishkill Planning Board members, Teresa Cuccello, Ezra Holly, Anthony Malella, as well as Chairperson Hans Klingson, were present and approved the permit unanimously. Board member Danielle Hughes was not able to be present for this meeting. The current Village of Trustees, Nick Furlano, Deputy Mayor, Trudy Newhard, Anthony Ruggiero, and Dean Schofield, as well as Mayor Kathy Martin, had amended the zoning code in November 2021, which enabled the consideration of this large-scale project specifically in this location. At the Village Planning Board's September 23, 2023 hearing, more than 60 people attended, more than could be accommodated, and many of them spoke out against this project. It's clear the trustees and planning board members' actions and inactions show willful disregard for the wishes of most constituents. We believe this disregard can motivate village and town residents both. Village of Fishkill voters can evaluate trustee candidates or even consider becoming candidates themselves to elevate professionalism and rebuild integrity and trust in government. 2 trustees' seats will be up for re-election in June of this year, 2024. Candidates may announce as early as April 2nd. Town of Fishkill stakeholders may feel they are at the mercy of the village officials' poor decisions in this matter. Our position, however, remains that town residents can rally behind village neighbors, publish their opinions in print and online, recruit allies, and speak up at both town and village meetings. Our regular meetings are on hold for now as we consider next steps, but this story is not over. The future of the town and village of Fishkill and the quality of life here remain very much at stake. Fishkill will continue to need residents' attention and involvement to remain a beautiful, vibrant, and livable community. If you are looking for ways to help manage out-of-control growth and development in the town and village of Fishkill, join us. Please feel free to message the volunteers at Keep Fishkill Beautiful directly. That's the official statement from them. I would also like to say something, and I'd like to open my statement with a quote from American novelist Alice Walker, and it reads, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any." This is a portion that I'm about to read of a document sent to Assemblyman Anil Beepin, the State Department, and the Village of Fishkill. I very much appreciate the Assemblyman's time. These concerns were brought to light due to Jackson Crossing LLC's proposal to build 56 housing units at the corner of Jackson and Main Streets and the progression of steps that led us to the current special use permit application that was approved by the Village Planning Board last month. There is a systematic lack of transparency. Public hearings and public meetings have not been sufficiently publicized. The public is provided merely 3 days' notice to public hearings with no specific details of the topic being heard and no agendas provided at meetings, less than the minimum requirements of New York State open meetings law. The village planning board attorney seems to have mistakenly interpreted what is being said here as confusion on the part of stakeholders. So I will say it another way. In this day and age, 72 hours notice posted on a corkboard in front of Village Hall and in written publication is insufficient notice. Denying stakeholders reasonable, easy access to information regarding agendas and meeting minutes is intolerable. Lack of public notice and hearing for Jackson and Main subdivision or consolidation within 62 days of application acceptance. Additionally, no neighbors within 250 feet of the proposed project were notified of any activity until November of 2023, including the town of Fishkill. It should be noted there was a public hearing held in July and a continuation of that hearing in September. It should also be noted the village planning board attorney made the statement, and I'm paraphrasing, "The village considers neighbors notifying other neighbors as public notice." I simply have no words for that ridiculous comment. Village website has pages clearly marked for agendas and minutes, but these pages are not kept updated and are inconsistent with the calendar also on that site. The village does not record its meetings, as has become standard practice in nearby jurisdictions. This fact, coupled with no meeting minutes, otherwise easily shared with the public, cannot be dismissed due to lack of funding to televise meetings. There has been a tremendous amount of activity conducted without that tool available to the residents and stakeholders who have needed to FOIA any information pertaining to the project and other village concerns, for that matter. The February Village Planning Board planned agenda included the developer's response to public comments. The developer was to verbally respond to the letters of concern as stated by the chairman in January. That didn't happen. Other things of note, during the February Planning Board meeting, only 3 members were in attendance. This was a quorum, but 2 of the 3 attendees were new to the board. 1 member had only attended 1 meeting, and another had attended no other meetings. One of the newly appointed members requested the village hold a special workshop to thoroughly review the extensive material of this project with the 2 new members, or to postpone the secret review portion of that meeting until the more experienced members were able to attend. Instead, the village attorney, planner, and the planning board chair pushed to continue the secret review that evening and stated they would walk the new members through the secret form. There is concern among residents that the only property owner to benefit from the enactment of Code 4-2021 is indeed Jackson Crossing LLC. Prior to the code amendment, the proposal was scaled by about half of the size and included businesses on the ground floor as required at that time. Jackson and Main lay entirely within the footprint of the Village Center Business District, yet has now eliminated all business from its proposal, and is able to do so specifically because of Code 4-2021. The village's consideration of special use permit expressly divorces current requests from history. For example, their obligation to restore Jackson House as required by code in the historic overlay district. Neither local nor state police were invited to comment on the project. There are outstanding FOIA requests. There is a list of FOIA requests that the mayor has been notified about but has not acknowledged that notification. I question if the information requested even exists. If not, this project would likely not have made it to approval. Including among these requests are the Village Board of Trustees' response to the County Planning Department detailing why they disregarded the county recommendations to keep commercial use on the ground floor facing Main Street when amending the zoning code 4-2021. That code change the trajectory of the village's potential growth by eliminating business in the business district. The training and attendance records for planning and zoning boards for years 2022 and 2023. I close with this. If there is an attorney within range of my voice who is interested in helping residents file an Article 78 to challenge the validity of the planning board's decision to approve this project, as well as hold the Village of Fishkill accountable for denying stakeholders reasonable and easy access to information outlining the activities of the village, please contact me through Keep Fishkill Beautiful.
Thank you, Ms. Woodward.
Thank you.
Mr. Cullen, did you want to speak? Anybody else wish to speak?
I wanted to say one thing.
Yes, Jeanette.
My name is Jeanette. Is this a government building?
Yes, ma'am.
Then why wasn't the cops called right away? You didn't know the man's state of mind. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jeanette. Anybody else wish to speak?
Pat Odell, Town of Fishkill. There's been so much that's going on with this incident in Town Hall. And frankly, it's been tried by town board members, by the press, and some things just don't seem to add up about it. Board Member Rye, were you present?
No.
No. Okay. But you know it happened the way it was put in your video?
I got that from reportings and responded to a
Okay,
news
but
report.
you didn't see statements, court informations, or anything else?
I did speak internally. Absolutely.
You spoke internally?
Yeah.
You don't know that could have jeopardized the integrity of the case or anything like
I didn't
that?
violate that. There's no questions that I
No.
sought answers to that would have all
Okay,
been
so
penetrating a case.
this became very political, though.
No.
Well,
It is, well, it obviously has in certain circles, but the bottom line of where I'm coming from in this entire episode, and I appreciate your question, is that we need a dialogue once and for all with our police chief. We need something that's cordial. We need something that's professional. And that's where I ended this thing and where I was going with this thing. And that we are at, I think, and I think all of society knows we're at an inflection point in many, many regards. And there are a lot of concerns out there, one of which is it doesn't matter what town you're in, it's certainly the state of well-being and the population of your police force. Are you staffed up? And that's always shifting with everyone all the time. What I'm hoping for is that we do have an executive who is here and can open a dialogue that is professional and courteous with our chief. If our chief remains here the end of this year and that's it, or another year, it doesn't matter. He is the chief, and there's a tension that people across this town have been feeling, have been seeing, have been witnessing, and it doesn't do anything for safety. It doesn't do anything for the quality of the town, and it's extremely important. And I have asked on a number of times for a simple conversation to begin. The police department is not a separate appendage. They don't just exist by themselves. We govern them. This board, the members of the board are part-time. We're not here on a full-time basis. The only one here on a full-time basis is the supervisor. And it's just an unfortunate thing for the town, and that we don't have that type of dialogue that exists. I think that people would appreciate it. I think that whatever differences that do exist between the supervisor and the chief, who I didn't realize was going to be here tonight, is here. I think that those things can be put to the side for the sake of the town and the safety. And I think it's vitally important. And this is my thrust, and this is my hope. And if it came across political, okay, that's my bad. that's my bad. My thrust of this whole thing is that we are better served when the supervisor and our chief have a cordial, professional relationship. On an ongoing, weekly basis would be my desire. I don't, operate the town, and we have oversight, obviously, but if we had an issue that arose, the supervisor early on could be there for guidance, for conversation, for taking care of issues before they get blown up. I just feel that it's time that we bring this kind of existence that we have with our chief to a close. I think that we can do this. I think we can rise above it. And I'll just take it a step further. In the past, I have been one that's been free to be rather verbose and confrontational. And I want to apologize to the town for my being confrontational. And I mean that sincerely, because that also hasn't served the town well. The actions of the board and how we conduct ourselves, too many people are intimidated to come to the board to have the conversation, to give testimony, to have to participate in their government because of how we have been in the audience have been. And that era needs to end. And I think that we can do that. I think that we can be more civil with each other. I think that we can communicate better. And I think we can have a better relationship with our police department. I go to the police department. I campaign on supporting the police. I campaign on working on helping to improve the town. And the police are a part of that. I go to the highway department. I see what is going on at the highway department. I just check in. I don't tell Superintendent Itzvan where to put his tools. I trust that
would be a good idea.
Exactly. I trust he knows where they should go. I don't tell the police what to do. I check in. I think that these things are important just to stay in touch. I check in with people around town hall. It's important. Again, we're not full-time. We do the best that we can. But this is my hope. And I understand by Ozzy's phone call to me on Monday morning. He didn't like it, and I understand that. I do appreciate where he's coming from.
Just for the record, this isn't about Ozzy. This isn't about any political affiliation.
Yeah, I know.
Keep going that way.
And I'm not talking party, am I? I think I'm talking.
I don't. We're talking about a split board. We're talking about a lot of things. That's not what my.
But anyway,
intent
that's
was.
you opened up the gate, and I just took
Okay.
the opportunity. So.
Okay.
Well, I'll just follow up on Mr. Rye. Last year, your entire election platform, your team's platform was Ozzy's anti-cop, Ozzy's this, Ozzy hates the cop, Ozzy wants to defund the police. You name it, it was it. But you guys don't get it. The citizens of Fishkill get it. They understand. They know the problems. They know it's a part-time police department, staffed 24/7. They know there are problems there. My idea to hire a full-time chief and start hiring full-time officers, the citizens want that. I want to improve the Fishkill Police Department and start moving into a full-time organization. That's what I want to do. That's what's best for the residents of the town of Fishkill. You're making it best for somebody else. I want to make it what's best for the citizens of Fishkill, and the residents by a 63 to 37 margin last year decided that my plan was better when you hit me with everything but the kitchen sink regarding the police. You had police officers come in here and make false claims that I was defunding the police. There was never any defunding of the police. In fact, on the police department Facebook page today, it says there's no defunding the police because they put the calculations up on the board there. So how can there be a trustful relationship when these things happen? You tell me there, Councilman Rye.
Well, okay.
Well, okay. So I can get smacked in the back of the head, be disrespected by you guys.
Oh, I thought I was.
And now.
I thought I was going to answer.
Sure you were.
The question. Okay. So
you guys played games with the police, my friend. You've politicized the police department. Never forget that.
So.
And I'm also not through, so whatever goes here.
There you go. We got some work to do, so.
Yeah. I have nothing against the police department. Police department does an excellent job. I've worked for, with, and been trained by multiple members of this police department. I think they should be commended for their work.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of it. I'm curious to know why the press release for this one incident had attached a link to the Mid-Hudson News article, which seemed to have a lot of different information in it.
You got me.
And,
You got me.
well, I mean, the chief is here, I'll just, why was that the only incident that had a link to a newspaper article with information that wasn't from the police release? With all due respect, it's the only time I've seen it.
That article was posted by the Mid-Hudson News. The journalist came, or excuse me, I won't say he came because I don't know. He didn't speak with me. He didn't speak with any member of my department initially. He came and spoke with the supervisor.
I'll take a seat for a minute, sir, so I'm not saying.
Correction, Chief, he never spoke with me, he never came to see me.
Well, there's quotes in the article that claim they came directly from you, and you told me through email to make sure I provide all the information possible to that journalist.
Correct.
So with you sanctioning that article is why I linked it.
I didn't sanction that article. Let's review, you said that was my quote, let's review. These are my texts between the Mid-Hudson News and Supervisor Albra, 3/27/24, 9:02 a.m. Reporter, hey bud, I'm getting several inquiries from town employees about a gun incident at Town Hall last night. Do you want me to send you copies of the FOIL request that I am going to submit? Supervisor, 9:20 p.m. Nah, what do you need? Reporter, I can email you the list to you. What address do you want me to use? Supervisor Albert at fishkillny.gov. Don't know if I have anything, but we'll get it from the chief. Reporter, you're the man, stay dry. Supervisor, 9:37 p.m. Cleaners left the front door unlocked at Town Hall, so I'm here locking up. I'll work on that now if you send me what you need. So I happen to be here I appreciate it. So at 10:05, I sent them 2 emails. And this is what I sent. Todd, I found out around 12:33 via text that the incident occurred in front of the town clerk's office, called the employee around 1 o'clock. After I looked at my text, asked the employer if the suspect was still there and was told they left shortly after the incident, told the employer I'd be there before a town board meeting that night. After interviewing the employer, I called the Fishkill PD around 6:30 p.m. Not sure about the active shooter protocol. No one was involved. Employee was given some administrative days off. Today I sent the employees email regarding safety. I'll forward that to email. I don't have any other information. And that's it. All he did was display the handgun. There was no mention about anything about waving it around Town Hall.
I would just like to add for the record that communicating via email with a reporter for a story does not constitute sanctioning
Correct.
what that final story contains. Because a politician, a law enforcement officer, no one who provides information as a source to a newspaper reporter has content control over what the final product is. That will be determined by the reporter and the editor and the publisher of whatever publication it is in general. As a former newspaper reporter, I always did my best whenever I got an interview or comments from elected officials, law enforcement agencies. I did a lot with the state police to summarize things correctly, to make sure that quotes were given proper context. But there were occasions where I would get a phone call afterwards from an elected who, needed something to be changed or clarified because the way that the story reads somehow did not, line up with the sequence of events or various other things. So while I respect the notion that the supervisor provided information that was requested, which, came from a credible news reporter, that does not in and of itself constitute sanctioning the validity or the factuality of the final piece of reporting, because the supervisor can't be the only particular source of information involved, especially when the reporter indicated that he was getting contacted from multiple other individuals regarding the same story.
I understand. And if you read the article, it quotes the supervisor.
There was an incident.
I never said that.
There was an incident.
These statements that were commented.
I didn't say that, Chief. There is an
I've been
incident.
asked to come up here to answer this, and Councilman Totino, I listened to what he had to say. Supervisor, I listened to what you had to say. I'd like to be able to make a comment.
Go on.
This is very simple, okay? I never said that the supervisor made these quotes. In fact, him and I had a conversation about this today, and if he felt that they were inaccurate, he should have asked for a redaction. What I did is I posted on the PD's social media page. I didn't even post at the time the incident occurred because I didn't feel it was appropriate to victimize the victim twice.
Well,
Okay?
Chief, you're absolutely correct. You're 100% correct, and this guy
Thank
over
you,
here wanted to
Supervisor.
cause us all these big problems for no reason.
Well, I
This
think-
councilman, Mr. Barai, over
I think
here.
your anger is
I am
misdirected,
angry. It's not- it's- no,
Supervisor.
it's not.
So can I finish, please? So,
Please.
when these quotes were made, and there was no redaction, I linked the story. Anyone who reads the police department's press release will see that we were precise and vague intentionally so that we didn't compromise the integrity of an ongoing case.
Chief, is it common practice for the police department to link third-party news articles related to ongoing police investigations on police department social media?
It's not uncommon for us or any other police agency to do that.
Okay. Now, I'm seeing that the article published was on March 29th, correct? And that was the same day that the post was made on the PD page?
That's correct.
Now, I am also seeing that on the 29th, you indicated to the supervisor, quote, "You're correct, the gun was displayed. We have no evidence that it was, quote, waved around. I don't know where that information came from, but it is not consistent with our investigation." Is that a correct summary of what you said to the supervisor?
Are we sharing internal emails in a public forum? Is that what we're doing?
I'm reading from a letter which the supervisor read to the audience.
Listen, I'll make a motion to have the chief answer that question. Can I have a second?
Second.
Go on. Anybody in favor of that?
I'm sorry, to do what?
Give the chief, I'll make a motion to allow the chief to answer the question. Can I have a second? That was Greg.
We're
All in
gonna
favor?
waive.
Is that,
I don't even know what you're voting.
We're
you know,
waiving,
what are
we're
we
waiving
talking-
confidentiality on that so the chief can answer the question.
I mean, Chief, is
That's the town
that, is
attorney.
that proper protocol? I mean, does that violate some sort of investigation here?
I think
don't
as
even know what
far
we're
as this
doing.
discussion has got regarding this incident, I don't think this is a suitable format for this. I don't think this should be going into as in-depth as we are in a public forum for an incident that's ongoing with the court. It's pending in the
Forgive me,
court.
Chief, with all due respect, but the reason why we're having this discussion in a public forum is because you posted a news article on a public forum,
Correct, I did, and
which
it was
contains
intentionally
information
vague and
which
didn't
you
release any of
indicated
the
to the
information that's
supervisor
been
you were
released
aware
here
was
today.
incorrect. You shared a news article on a town PD page containing information in a headline which you communicated on the same day to the supervisor that language was inconsistent with the findings of your investigation.
So again, are we sharing internal emails? The content of internal emails?
Listen, I make a motion so you can share it. I got a second? What do you guys want to do?
That's, I think,
I want to ask Mr. Gaba.
That's right, privilege of the floor. Anyway, chief, did the guy wave the gun?
Is it your opinion at this time that the individual waved the gun?
That's not my understanding.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Ms. Kenya? No, Mr. Cullen first.
We had an incident at where we were
Mr. Cullen?
Jeanette,
I'll get you next, Jeanette.
Jeanette,
Hello, Mr. Cullen.
Mr. Reisman, is it the?
No, my name is Rich Reisman.
I'm sorry. Mr.
That's all right.
It looks like.
I don't know what went on. Stories are all over the place. But I know something went on. And I have a problem. If there was an incident that should have been reported to the police forthwith, and it was a 6-7 hour time span before it was reported to police, there's a problem with that. Now, you say that a gun was displayed, or was waved, or wasn't waved, or whatever. I have no idea. And that's not my concern, but the concern was that it brought attention to whoever was the victim of this to notify the town. Now, once you were notified, Mr. Supervisor, it was your duty to contact the police. It's up to the police to decide whether there's merit to it or there's no merit to it. Now, if the victim felt threatened, she or he, I don't know who the victim was, she or he should have reported it forthwith across the street to the police department when it happened. Let the police come over, investigate it, determine if there's merit to that or there's no merit to that. Now, as far as Second Amendment rights goes, no one's more Second Amendment than me. But with the Second Amendment comes responsibility to carrying a firearm. So if this firearm was carelessly displayed in any way, waved around, put on the table, whatever, if it was displayed in any way, that's irresponsible. And that subject was, from that alone, was charged with the right charge, menacing. Absolutely. That's a menace. That's a menacing charge. His permit should be yanked. Dutchess County should yank his permit. Hopefully they pulled all his guns out of his house, whatever weapons he had. But that's got nothing to do with the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment gives you the right to bear firearms, to carry firearms. It's your right. But it also comes with a responsibility when you're carrying that firearm. And that's basically what I have to say. I don't know what happened, okay?
Yeah.
Somebody says this, somebody says that. There's got to be a little truth in the middle there. I don't know. But, and as far as an 89-year-old man goes, you know, like I say, God bless him, but an 89-year-old man can pull a trigger just as quick as I can.
I don't disagree, Mr. Wright.
So,
No.
that, an age has no bearing on it. So, and that individual could have went out after this incident, and God forbid, he got involved in something with that firearm. And you guys would be seeing a big lawsuit coming your way if that was it. And but that's not the important thing. Somebody could have got hurt. And I just have a problem with the time span.
Thank you very much. It was good seeing you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And one thing I think we can all agree is that the incident has been a bit of an eye-opener for everyone. You know, we've had workplace violence policies. We go through annual trainings from New York State to prepare ourselves for the possibility of a workplace violence incident, but there's no really accounting for exactly how that incident might play out, whether it would be an individual who has real nefarious intention or, you know, something which, you know, mercifully in this case was more benign in terms of the defendant's intentions as they are apparent. I'm not blaming the victim in terms of how this was reported. I'm not blaming the supervisor, Councilman Foreman, myself, the town clerk for how we handled the situation when it was reported. But I think we can all agree that we're going to be looking to improve our security measures, practices, and the education which our employees receive, so that if an event like this were to happen in the future, that type of notification and internal investigation and the relaying of that to the police department for a criminal investigation would happen in an abbreviated timeline. But given the nature of how things panned out, how information was able to be transmitted, and the supervisor exercising his best judgment in this, I think on the whole the situation, given what transpired, was handled satisfactorily. Obviously, had the individual taken different action, had he behaved violently, had there, God forbid, been shots fired, I think we all know that a very different set of actions would have been taken. But the most important thing that we can do from this situation, from my perspective, is to learn from it collectively as to how to make the town even safer. Because we all, I think, were very satisfied with the policies that we've had in place up to this point. And it isn't until you have an incident like this that you realize that there are more steps that we can take to be even safer. Because we want every single employee and every single constituent, because this is not our office, this is the people's space, town hall. We want everyone who comes through these doors, whether they're here for work, for recreation, for official business, we want them to feel safe and to know that they're in a space where they do not need to fear violence. So with that, I think we're all going to be dedicating time and energy to improving even further.
I couldn't say it better, Greg, but just remember, everyone, the employee did not report to me for 2.5 hours. I told her to wait till I get back to the town board meeting, 6 hours later. So she didn't think they were a threat. I didn't think the guy was a threat. And the police didn't make an arrest for almost 20 hours. So it's clear they didn't think he was an immediate threat. So this was all handled within 30 hours. This was handled very quickly. If something happened to you, unless it happened to you on the street right there where the cop grabbed somebody, these investigations can take days, weeks, months. The police did a phenomenal job by taking care of this from start to finish. Something they wouldn't do for you if you came off the street. The cops did a good job. They expedited it. They took care of it, and everything worked out. And like I said, New York State town law, the employee handbook was followed to a T. Ms. Gaston.
So good evening. My name is Kenya Gaston. I'm a resident and taxpayer. So I wasn't really going to say anything here, but I think once again we're at every time it's police and Ozzy, it creates a divide in our town, which causes unnecessary people to be against each other. Some people feel like they could stand up, stand out, they could yell out, scream out, they could comment, they could do all these things. I am a survivor of gun violence, and I'm going to say that I go around with every town sharing my story about my interaction with gun violence. And I'm going to say that I was saddened as I sat in my house and watched people comment and post their political views while somebody is home suffering. And I'm going to say that although the person may not have come forward immediately, sometimes it is the act of the situation and you are dealing with it. And so whatever the person experiences may not be immediate. I will say that I sat in my house and received several phone calls because people wanted to question, Ozzy's delay. People wanted to question why the person was given a deposition and the ability to then come back later, right? And so I have all of these stories. I don't know if they're factual, but I'll wait for it to all unravel and then be able to be accessible to me so that I could come back here and say that although we are pointing the finger, a lot of us are pointing the finger. I was shocked to see that Councilman Rye would have such a time with it on his social media when there's a crisis going on with somebody that him as a leader that sits at this table sees and works with. So it was just trying to see. I don't understand it. When I sat in the seats that you guys sit in, there was tension between the police and Ozzy. I could never figure out what it was, and I would always say to the chief honestly, respecting him in his space, although he stopped speaking to me once I got off the board, I still have a high respect.
He didn't need you no more, Kenya.
Right, I have a high regard and respect for people who are about their business, right? So it's not my personal relationship with you. It wasn't a fake shake that I gave you, but I felt like the chief really is in it for the people of Fishkill. And so my goal was to try to bridge that gap. And I thought that once he had the majority on the board, that it would be easier for him. And I will say that I did sidebar with him and say, you got your support. It should be easier for you. And I think that although some of us are, just creating more divide, even the library. I look to see books and people reading with kids, and even the library has jumped on the bandwagon of siding with police over the supervisor. And this is a community that, to me, should come together and not be divided in such a way. And so, I'm calling on you guys as the public officials really to get it together. Like, you guys represent us. We are coming to you to say, help us solve these problems. And whatever your personal views are about the relationships between people, keep that to yourself, right? Let's do the business for the people. And right now it is, I'm worried. I'm concerned. I want to be home in my bed right now, but I felt like I should come here and listen, and then listen to people's entitlement. So many people are entitled, and I said this once before at this podium, and I'll say it again. When you look like me, sometimes these entitlements, this special treatment doesn't come your way. It just doesn't. And so this case is going to be very odd to look at. Age doesn't really matter to me. I think if you do the wrong thing, you should get whatever the consequences are. You could be the star pupil in a class and commit a crime. You should be subject to whatever the penalties are for that. But I think at this juncture, I'm asking you guys, especially you, Councilman Rye, stop it. Stop it. Because you are advocating for the chief. The chief is a grown man. He could stand on his own 2 feet. I've seen him stand. I've seen him be tall. I've seen him be annoyed by things that are coming from this way, and he still kept his temperament. So he doesn't need you, in my opinion, to keep pushing the bar, because I think that you and your maybe good actions is creating negative actions and creating more divide. And so I'm going to ask you to take a look at that. And what I say may not be factual, but what I'm telling you is that this is what I see. And people are calling me and I say, I'm not on the board anymore. Go to the meetings and speak up and tell them what you think, what they look like when you're looking at them at home. Like, this is what I'm saying. So I'm asking you guys to please, this situation will finish itself out. Don't be using your energy to do whatever you got to do. Let the police do their job, and then the end result will be what it'll be, and then people will be able to either post that or make it a teachable moment, right? So I'm hoping that it'll be a teachable moment, because the way it looks right now is that what we think somebody did wrong, on the other end, it appears that even more wrong was done, because privilege was given out once again, and that, to me, is unacceptable. So let that be food for thought for you, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gasson.
Thank you, Kenya.
Louise? Hello?
Hello. I was going to wait until later, until you actually spoke about it, but it seems like now is the time everyone's talking about it. So, Louise Danielli, legal resident of the town of Fishkill for over 30 years. I was going to speak about the safety committee discussion, but this is what it's all been about. So, in my opinion, Councilmember Rye should not be on the safety committee that is going to be formed. He continues to show through his actions that he is so enamored with the chief and has an obvious disdain for the supervisor that, in my opinion, he can't be impartial when it comes to being involved with the safety committee or any police matters, because he has once again politicized the town police department in a selfish attempt through a self-made mini social media documentary filled with misinformation, which created unnecessary fear-mongering and further political divide, and re-victimizes the victim every time it is played, which could potentially put our town at risk for litigation. So he should remove that post immediately. I heard the phrase "sign of the times" thrown around as this incident happened. I don't think it's an incident that is a, quote, sign of the times. I think the politicalization of our police department is a continued sign of the times in our town that needs to end. I also wanted to reiterate some of the comments that Councilmember Rye made during his Kumbaya end of the year December 20th letter in the Southern Duchess News to the editor, which anybody can look up online, wanting to discuss our, quote, local political atmosphere, the overt vitriol that has crept into the political fabric of our town. The right to express oneself should not be, quote, at the expense of basic human mutual respect. Personal attacks have nothing to do with issues, and they, quote, do nothing to advance one's argument. A deeper quality of life can be achieved by showing the world that the town of Fishkill leads the way in a return to civility. He has done the opposite of everything that he has suggested. Everything. No mutual respect, no just personal attacks, and definitely no civility. When the board begins discussing the future safety for our employees, I hope the board has a better schedule of somebody checking to make sure that the cameras the town had are actually positioned properly and of good quality. You can update the cameras without making them more expensive. Nowadays, there are many cameras that you can replace them with so that they can be viewed in real time on a computer or by the department head's phone or by the supervisor or by the police department. I would also like to say to the Monday morning social media quarterbacks and the keyboard bullies out there, unless you are the victim of a crime or a serious incident or any type of harassment, you shouldn't judge how or when someone reports the crime or an incident. I've seen through my experience as a trooper, there are plenty of times for various reasons that people don't immediately report things, and they should not be judged for that, and it should not lessen the severity of the impact that it has made on the victim, employee, citizen, or whoever it has happened to. It also shouldn't matter how old someone is, what sex they are, if they are a hero or an everyday citizen. If they come into our town hall or our town buildings and harass or create an unsafe environment for an employee, they should and will be held accountable for it. And when you are someone who has had a history of improper behavior to residents and now employees, in my opinion, they should not be allowed to enter any of the town buildings in the future. So stop the blame game and start doing what really matters, making sure town employees are informed and given the resources they need to feel safe so they can continue to do their jobs each day for us, the residents, the legal residents.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Louise. And may I say, I think that was very generous of you to refer to the social media video as a documentary. Documentaries contain facts. That did not. I was blown away when I saw that video. Professionally shot. Like, it wasn't ad-libbed. It wasn't, a selfie kind of thing. I'm just going to give you some thoughts. He got out a studio mic. He sat staged outdoors with the silly hat for the folksy charm, and then spewed 7 minutes of vitriol and lies. There's so much that's been made about the divide between Supervisor Albra and our police department. The man who constantly talks about that divide is the reason why it's as big as it is. He never passes up an opportunity to create drama, never passes up an opportunity to put the chief and the supervisor on opposite sides of an argument, and then insists that when it's time for us to come together, that as a supervisor who has to go over to the police department hat in hand to make things right. I am personally stunned, but at the same time, I'm not stunned because it's just what I've grown to expect. This is someone who, when he campaigned last year, posed in his campaign photos with uniformed police officers, which is a violation of New York State election law. Officers can't appear in their official uniforms in political endorsements or in political advertisements, lest the voter appear to believe that the officer in question is endorsing in his official capacity. Law enforcement officers are, of course, free in their personal lives to endorse whoever they wish. It's their First Amendment right to free political association. I would begrudge no man or woman that opportunity. But to do so in uniform conveys the power not just of an individual police officer, but of the agency that that officer represents. So this is someone who consistently tries to position himself directly next to the police department, and then when an incident occurs, jumps at the opportunity to point the finger at how Supervisor Albra handled the situation. Now, he claims that he reached out to staff to see how they were doing, and the one person who he didn't speak to was the victim of the incident.
Well, the victim should have called.
And it is likewise inappropriate to blame the victim. When someone experiences a traumatic event, it can take hours, days, weeks, months, or years to emotionally process what has taken place and be comfortable sharing that experience with someone else. I do not at all blame the employee for the delay in reporting it to the supervisor, nor do I blame the supervisor for wanting to speak face-to-face with the employee to have a direct one-on-one interview as to what transpired before involving law enforcement. Those are appropriate decisions. Now, can we improve the process to make sure that those things happen faster? I certainly believe that we can, but I think it is entirely inappropriate to try to point the finger, especially when you haven't spoken to the person who suffered through this event. Because whenever I have a disagreement with Brian, his favorite thing to say to me is that I need to educate myself. Well, I think that the best way that he could have educated himself was to talk to the one person who lived through it, and instead, he goes on his Facebook page and gives 7 minutes about a media narrative about someone waving and brandishing a gun like it was a stick-up or a terrorist attack. That's not meant to encourage good public discourse. That's meant to shape public opinion towards his side of the argument. And that side of the argument, of course, being that he and his friends are pro-police and that Supervisor Albra and myself are anti-police. Well, I'd like to show you something which I carry with me every day. It's the challenge coin of our county sheriff, Kirk Imperati. I have one, Supervisor Albra has one, And the two gentlemen, Mr. Foreman and Mr. Rye, both have them. Ask a law enforcement professional what they think of Supervisor Albrecht. Challenge coins aren't handed out like currency. They're earned through a commitment to the law enforcement community. They're earned by demonstrating consistently that you care about the well-being of our law enforcement agencies and the officers who serve. So don't let the transparent politicization of any issue to try to regurgitate and rehash the Ozzie and the Chief don't get along narrative and take everything at face value because it's convenient. Because I'm not fooled. I know you're not fooled. That's all I have to say on that.
Listen, Greg, you're 100% right. This town of Fishkill is loaded with law enforcement officers, retired officers, sportsmen. I did very well with them last year. They understand what the part-time police department is, and I back the blue 100%. The patrolmen, the detectives, the sergeants. Do I have differences with the structural command of the administrators and the chief? Absolutely. That's why I proposed earlier this year to go to a full-time chief. I want to spend more money in the police department. It got vetoed by these two guys to the left of me. So we want, just think about this. Democrats in New York State want to spend more money on the police, improve the police, and the Republicans say no. Okay? What could that be? What is the reason for
Now
that?
you're invoking party, and that's totally inappropriate.
Yes,
We're having
yes.
a conversation.
You voted no to improve the police department.
We're
You
not-
voted to defund the
we're
police
not-
department. You voted to not certify a police officer who
We're
had
not
his civil rights
using-
violated.
We're not using
You
this
do
for
not back the blue,
political-
Mr. Rye, and I'm gonna let you know that every time I get a chance.
We're not using this for party purposes. We're having a
You can talk
discussion.
about it on liaison reports when we get to you, buddy.
We're just not talking about party. That's not
Anybody-
what we need to do.
That's it. Anybody else that hasn't spoke want to speak?
I just have one simple
Go on.
question. Is there any policy anywhere in this town that prohibits any employee from calling the police or needing approval to call the police for any incident?
No, there isn't, but the employee handbook says that the employee shall notify their supervisor. That's basically it, and then their supervisor would notify, supervisor meaning department head or whatever, then, or notify the town supervisor.
Well, I
That's all
would
the department.
suggest that be made
Oh, that's-
clear,
li-
that that's no longer, if something happens and somebody feels that they need
We're
it.
way ahead of you on
Yes.
that. We're already working on
Okay.
revising.
Don't even call me,
language.
just call. That's what's gonna happen.
And
Yes.
the other thing I'd like to say is, you had, there's things posted about new security already. You don't put that out to the public.
Yeah, we got it here, we're not gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it in executive session.
And the only last suggestion that I'll have is to start clearing things with the attorney before everybody starts putting stuff out there, because
Well, I did that-
that poor guy over there is about the most stressed out person in this room, probably.
Well, Mr.
Well, he's
Gav-
also the best paid, so
Yeah, Mr.
balances
Gavin,
out.
he cut out about half of my statement, so he did his job today.
I'd like to thank everybody. Again, it's not against the police department. This isn't a political thing. This is a lot of stories going around. There is a victim, and there is somebody who's innocent until proven guilty. That's why we have a legal system, and that's how it works.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move forward with liaison member reports. Greg, you can go first.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would start by wishing a happy Easter to everyone who observed on Sunday. Always wonderful to celebrate an important religious event for anyone who observes a religious background. I would like to just remind everyone that April is Autism Awareness Month. Autism, the spectrum of autism, and how it affects people is a field of study which is becoming increasingly better understood, but there's still so much more that we need to do to make our spaces, our schools, our workplaces more inclusive for people with differing abilities. I have a number of friends who have autism spectrum disorders, and they are some of the most outstanding people who I know. I think we need to end the stigma around autism. We need to increase education and awareness, and I hope that people will take time during April to learn a bit more about how autism can manifest, how people can learn to find success and maximize their potential within the scope of their disorders and be fantastic and incredible members of our society. So I hope everyone does that. I do just have one final thing I'd like to mention, and I would like to thank Supervisor Albrecht for it. As people who've been watching our last few meetings know, there's been a lot of concern from the residents of Fox Ridge and Fishkill Woods about the Route 52 construction that's going on across the street at Healy Brothers, specifically regarding the removal of sidewalks and signage and other things that were approved by DOT because DOT regulates Route 52, that didn't go through our town planning board because we don't have direct jurisdiction over that particular scope of the work being performed. At their request, the supervisor, and I believe Councilman Rye, you were on that call as well, met with the, was it Councilman Rye or Councilman Foreman?
I was.
Councilman Rye, yes, was on a call with DOT towards the end of last month, where we were able to get a few things accomplished in terms of conditions which the contractor performing the work will do. So when it comes to the sidewalk in front of the in front of the Fishkill Woods area, there's some landscaping, there's the signage in front of Fox Ridge. All of those are currently located within the DOT right-of-way. Those are going to be removed and reinstalled outside of the DOT right-of-way to the satisfaction of the respective HOAs. So they will have final oversight and review to be able to determine that they're satisfied with the scope of the work. And of course, that will be provided by the contractor for Healy at Healy's expense. It won't be an expense that either of the HOAs have to incur, which I think is appropriate in that situation. The residents shouldn't be made to bear the cost of those improvements. I'm also happy to see that with those things, both the plantings, the flagpoles, the signage, the sidewalks being relocated outside of the DOT right-of-way, we won't need to be concerned that any future DOT improvements or work on Route 52 would result in any future disturbances to those once they're reinstalled. So that will then become a permanent fixture, which residents won't need to worry about needing to remove, relocate, replace, etc., because of any future work that's being done. But what makes me happiest is the Supervisor Albert, at my request, was able to secure something which he and I had spoken about and had tried to get into the budget for last year, for 2023, but I believe it was removed during the budget negotiation times. I think Councilman Foreman Rye, Councilman Ispan at the time may have moved that off the budget at the time, but it was for sidewalk in front of Town Hall. What is going to be done is what's referred to as a drop curb, which is the installation at the corner of an intersection, which makes it possible for a sidewalk to then be connected and run the length of the section of property that it adjoins. And I'm hopeful that with that being installed, that it might be impetus for us to reintroduce that for our coming budget for next year and put that sidewalk in, because we heard from residents both from Fox Ridge and Fishkill Woods that having a safe pedestrian corridor in front of Town Hall, in front of our police and recreation departments, it would span the entire length of our town property frontage, at our Town Hall campus area, would be a significant safety and walkability infrastructure. And so I'm going to just ask that we make a footnote of that, and that when we go through our budget discussions for 2025, that we look to include funding to accomplish that, since the drop curb element is already being installed for us at no cost to us. So,
Yeah. I thank you for reminding me of that. In the 22, I had money allocated in the 2022-23 budget to build the pathway to Town Hall. It was removed for budgetary concerns, and I'm glad you reminded me of that. I was able to talk to the DOT along with Councilman Ryan and Councilman Foreman, to the DOT people out there. At first, I didn't want to do it. I asked the person on scene to talk to her boss, and a couple days later, I got an email from DOT saying they were going to add that to the project. So thank you for reminding me. Thank you too for showing up that day. And something good happened out of this. So when people say nothing gets done, that's not true. If you come here and lobby, we're going to listen to you.
Yeah, it's also really important to sort of remember that we respond when we get a request. We saw how many residents from Fishkill Woods and Fox Ridge were concerned about what was going on. And of course, with any government agency communicating with another one, it takes time because governments are almost inevitably overworked and understaffed, especially when it comes to getting those decisions, those reviews completed and processed. But we moved quickly and swiftly. I was in daily communication with the supervisor about that, staying up to date on everything and making sure that we were moving forward to get this accomplished. And I recognize that residents at Fox Ridge and Fishkill Woods may still have, I think, very fair objections to the process by which Healy was able to move forward with these improvements that affect their properties without consulting them directly. I think those are very fair concerns, but I certainly hope that they will look at what we were able to accomplish on their behalf and recognize, one, that we are serving their best interests to the best of our abilities, and that we are using the power that we have as a municipal agency to lobby on their behalf and deliver the results that can be delivered.
It was also a good piece of all of us working together. Councilman Rye set up a meeting with BMT Blacktop. We came here in this room on a Monday, and we had a great conversation for two hours with the citizens of Fox Ridge and Fishkill Woods. It was good. It was good seeing the citizens and listening to their concerns. And things go smoother when we're working together. And it was good seeing. It's
just a reminder that a lot of the more petty differences that turn into these shouting matches, it's all the political game. It's not, because we do, by and large, work together and incredibly well. I know, my criticism of Brian's post notwithstanding, we've always had a good relationship and will continue to do so after, this meeting takes place. It's part of, there's gamesmanship that takes place.
Greg, just for a second.
You're done with your comments?
I did have one more thing, but.
Go on, finish
Go
your
ahead,
comment.
finish.
Oh, yeah, it's unrelated to this comment, but don't believe all the arguments are all there is. We do get along by and large. I do just want to give a big tip of the cap to Jay Mayetta, Marianne Von Egypt, everyone at REC for the tremendous job that they did with the Easter event on Saturday. It was heartbreaking to me that family commitments prevented me from being there. I heard it was a fantastic event, and I really wanted to go down and see everyone having a great time. I also want to say a big thank you to all of the senior volunteers who helped put all the eggs together. What was it, something around 5,000 eggs that were put out at Gearing Park for the kids to find and collect. It was a great event, and I am marking on my calendar for next year. Sorry, Mom, I can't help you with Easter dinner on the Saturday before Easter. I've got to go down to Gearing Park for the Easter egg event.
Okay, Councilman Rye?
Speaking of cameras, my son, your friend, your previous bus mate,
yes,
Max Rye, thanks you for the compliment on his equipment. That's what he does for a living.
And very well, too. He's very good at what he does.
Oh, he's very good. And, yeah. So, the Easter egg hunt was just amazing. I cannot wait for my granddaughter to finally get here from Bogota, Colombia, so I can take her next year. 2,500 to 3,000 people showed up, and I'm assuming that's with kids. It was a huge line. I got there, I don't know, 5 minutes before it started, and the parking lot was packed, and then upon leaving, you couldn't park anywhere. It just was magnificent. Yes, Jason and the whole team over there did a great job. They did pack up 5,000 or stuff 5,000 eggs and put them all over the field out there, and they were having to try to recycle all the eggs as they were thrown away and restuff them to put them back out because they were running out of them. I say that was just an amazing job right there, just to try to keep kids happy. It was very frantic on their part. So yes, for those who celebrate Easter, I hope it was a delightful one. Pardon me, but just have a little bit of a cold thing. Healy, DOT, Fox Ridge, Fishkill, was the whole thing, is as we know, it starts in planning and takes a leap over to highway, DOT rather. And we're in the middle of it, and of course, we're here to receive the comments and complaints and everything else. And we did do, I think, the best we could to help make up for the gap in the local residents being able to make comment, participate, and make sure that some of their property and sidewalks were reclaimed appropriately, and especially some of the signs moved, they didn't have to pay for. These are amazingly important things. And I will say that it was Senator Rolson. I remember when this started off, and I called Senator Rolson and Assemblymember A.J. Penn, and they got on the case, and I would guess, Ozzy, you probably were in touch with them as well.
Yes.
And I had a conversation with them today and just said thank you to their offices. Being out there, which was a field meeting, to try to get these guys, Healy, to pay for sidewalks and moving and the signs and this and that. I mean, God bless DOT. You got a great job. I mean, you've got safety concerns. You got all this, but it took Ozzy and I kind of negotiating on the spot to get that drop curve thing to happen. It took a little bit of an effort, but weren't we supposed to come up with some sort of resolution, because they were going to do a drop curve, a bit of sidewalk, and then we needed to say that we're continuing on with blacktop around to the rec center. I thought that that's what we agreed to on the spot, that they needed to see that right away so they can make that.
They're just okay with it. We're going to be able to handle it.
They're okay with it. Okay. It's an update then. So yeah, in addition, I believe we had a Rombout breakfast and a Dutchess Junction breakfast. Is that? So I attended 2 breakfasts in one Sunday, and it was good and bad at the same time. That's it.
Councilman?
Okay, just the final thought on the walkthrough. That happened on Wednesday, March 27th. We've had every indication that the representatives from both Fox Ridge and the Woods were satisfied with the anticipated results of the walkthrough. So kudos to everybody involved. I thought it was very important that they see as many town board people there as possible. And the last person to show up was the Hilly representative.
I know,
but
15 minutes late.
He got there, and and the only other comment I have is happy to celebrate my daughter's 21st birthday over the weekend.
Beautiful.
Happy 21st.
Thank you.
She's a delightful lady.
Okay. No presentations, but the discussions. First discussion, ID number 9213, discussion of resolution, introduction of local law setting the public hearing property maintenance. That's in there for consent. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, is it too late to make comments on this?
No.
Before it gets there?
Well, we are going to separate the firewood thing, right?
Yeah, it's been taken out already.
We're going to work on the fire stuff later.
It's the exact same law we've been reviewing,
Yes.
except that the issue regarding felled trees, firewood, being a property maintenance violation has been removed. We're going
Yes.
to, as I understand it, the board's interested in looking at that as a separate law somewhere down the line.
Without a doubt. I just had a couple of things. Page 7, solid waste materials. Listen, I'm all for property maintenance and keeping up with it, et cetera, but I do this also with a little bit of a thing in the back of my head. There are some people that are hobbyists, and there are some people that work on cars, and there are some those types of individuals, and I'm just wondering, you know, I see that there, you know, we can have, is it Joel that would go around and take a look at property and issue a fine and bring it to the board, or bring it to the board and we would issue a fine, that type of thing, but I guess we can do these things case by case, but it's all the way, I'm just worried about people who are, you know, avid, you know, enthusiasts, auto enthusiasts, and those type of things. And I guess the board will be taking a look at these case by case, but I just want to keep that in mind for everyone. And in A, duties of owners and occupants, Mr. Gaba, in furtherance of the purpose of this chapter, chapter, keep the premises free of violations hereof and to promptly remove, prevent, and abate any violations. I don't know what promptly, has a different definition for a number of people, so I just was wondering, do we give people timelines when it comes to promptly?
The way this process works is that if the building inspector either goes out and finds or is reported by someone that there is a property maintenance violation, either a dilapidated building or trash on property, whatever it may be, he goes to the property and he issues a notice of violation. And the notice of violation will set a date for a appearance before the town board. And the people will then come before the town board and either admit that there is a violation and they're cleaning it up, or they'll deny that there is a violation and give some explanation, whether it's, oh, I have antique vehicles, they aren't unregistered, what have you. And the board then will have to make a determination as to whether or not to confirm the building inspector's notice. And that'll be after the people have an opportunity to come in, there'll be a hearing to come in and contest that. And it's only after that confirmation by the board, by virtue of adopting a resolution, that any action would be taken against anyone. So there's going to be plenty of time for people to come in. It's not going to be, oh, you didn't do it within 10 days, oh, you didn't do it within 15 days.
Right.
That's the way the process plays out. So I wouldn't worry about the word promptly. The idea is, hey, you get a notice of violation, you better clean it up before you go before the town board.
Okay. Under 1135, general provisions, B, I happen to know someone that I like that has a lot of kids and not a lot of money, and they're wonderful people, and they don't have a nice fence. I don't know that they have, see, these are things, yes, I want it to be nice, but I don't want to, like, smack someone who doesn't have a lot of cash. And
What's the issue with the fence? What do you want to do?
I'm just wondering how, we can guard against penalizing somebody. I'm just bringing it up for discussion, I guess.
Mr. Gaba, what would it take to pull that out? Is it a big deal?
I think we just eliminate it.
If you want to eliminate it, Brian, that's all you got to say.
Yeah, let's do that.
Eliminate it, Mr. Gaba?
So this is 113.5B.
Yeah. Could you explain 113.7, notice of violations, number 6? The statement that in the event of refusal to comply with the order to correct violation of this chapter, the town board is authorized to remedy the violation, to assess all expenses of the remedy and the violation against the premises. Is this as in we will send them a bill, or what are we doing there?
The 113.7 are you talking about?
113.7, yeah.
113.7 sets forth.
6.
Yes, 1 through 5, including, and 6 as well after that, set forth what needs to be in the written notice that the building inspector provides to the property owner. And one of the things will be in number 6, a statement that in the event of refusal to comply with the order to correct the violation of this chapter, in other words, if they fail to remedy what he says is wrong.
Sure.
The town board is authorized to remedy the violation and to assess all expenses of remedying the violation against the premises. What that means is, I already detailed the process. If the board adopts a resolution saying, we find that you are in violation of the property maintenance code, you have not remedied the violation, you will give it, it's up to the board how long you give them, 30 days, 60 days, whatever you think is appropriate. We are going to put out to bid, the town board is going to put out to bid, cleaning up your property, whether it's removal of cars, removal of trash, securing a building, and the cost of doing that will be assessed against their property at the end of the year as an additional assessment on their property tax. That's how the town recovers the funds that it has.
That's what I thought where we were going.
But I gotta
Mr.
tell you,
that sounds like the process in the event of an unsafe or abandoned building, when the town needs to take action and demolish an unsafe structure, that it would also be
Which we've
assessed
done.
onto the properties at the end of the year for the taxes?
You're exactly right, Greg.
Okay.
That's what I thought, and we've done that, I got that.
This is just warning of that.
I didn't have my Latin dictionary, and I hope this is Latin, 113.9, assessment of expenses, the last few words, a special ad valorem levy. I don't know what that is.
Ad valorem means based on the value, that's how all property taxes are assessed. The
Okay.
alternative would be if you had benefit assessments, which
All right.
is a whole nother kettle of fish. But this is just based on, this just says it's going to be on your taxes.
I'm good.
Mr. Gabbard, can we go back to the fence thing? Can you read that section for me?
Sure. It's 13.5.
Section B.
113.5B.
Yeah, I seem to have misplaced 113.5. Give me a second here.
Page 8.
I understand. Here it is. This is under general provisions. All fences shall be maintained in a safe and substantial condition by the owner or occupant of the premises upon which fences are located. Such maintenance shall include, but not be limited to painting or staining. I thought we'd taken out painting or staining.
That's what I
As
thought.
needed, and replacement of broken or missing sections of the fence which may come into disrepair. So I don't know if this is,
There's a line through it, it looks like it was taken down as a proposed edit.
Does
when
yours
you
got,
were
does this have
notating
mine is
on the
clean
Word
copy,
document.
so I don't know what
Oh.
the situations, but that
Yeah.
shouldn't be in there
Yeah,
anymore.
our draft has, it's stricken with a line, so I think that was a suggested edit that never was clicked to be
yeah.
confirmed.
I had made that change, I don't know why it isn't.
Well,
in the
I mean,
copy
I-
that's in the packet.
Doesn't even have the link that mine does.
Yeah,
No, mine is clean copy too, it doesn't have it.
he doesn't have it.
But you're talking about taking it out anyway, so.
Well, maybe we'll take out the painting, staining, all that other stuff, and just leave the first three. Just give me the first three lines again.
All fences shall be maintained in safe and substantial condition by the owner or occupant of the premises upon which fences are located.
How about we just leave it at that, Brian?
I think that's good.
Is that fair enough? And the rest of it, the staining and all this other stuff?
Yeah.
Take that out?
It should have been out anyway.
That certainly simplifies.
Okay. John, you good?
All right, you can
Right.
introduce it
Yeah,
for
that
public
sounds fine.
hearing with that edit, or you can put it off till next month, that's up to you.
So
Or
discussion,
next month, next
we
meeting,
have that
I
up
should
for resolution tonight.
say. Yeah, just
It's
when you,
introduce and set a public hearing.
right, introduce it with that edit.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a clean copy to put up on the website tomorrow.
That's the only change? That'll be good.
It's up to you whether there are any other changes, but that's the only one I know of.
Okay. Yeah. So that's on for consent. The next one is item 2, ID number 9273, discussion of budget modification to 2024 general fund adopted budget for joint landfill mandatory testing. So we got hit with these new mandates. What citizens don't know is that there was an old landfill up by Van Wyck Lake Road. Becky and me deal with this thing all the time, and we have to pay to test the thing. And now they want to give, what do you remember what they asked for?
Well, the costs of just maintaining the landfill have skyrocketed, even the mowing, the testing, everything. So we do need a little bit more money for that, but now the state has mandated that we do additional contaminant testing. The cost is crazy, but we don't have it. The DEC, New York State DEC is mandating that we do this for the landfill, so they need to fund me more money to pay the bills, because I'm the secretary, so I write the checks for all the bills after the company that manages our landfill reviews the vouchers, they send them to me and I pay the bills, and we just need more money to get that done. And we don't have a choice.
Yes, and basically, the town is obligated by general municipal law to maintain a balanced budget and the governmental funds. The supervisor requested a budget modification to the amount to funding required to cover the cost of mandatory testing in the joint landfill. The controller recommends a budget modification to increase the expenditure line, Adam 81615.0455, general fund, joint landfill expenditures outside services by $13,000, and decrease the expenditure line A12205.0822, general fund from the supervisor, medical insurance by $13,000. Since I don't take any medical benefits from the town, it'll come out of that.
I don't either.
Yeah. Is this up for this consent or
Yeah, it's up for resolution.
where's it at?
It is in consent, I believe.
Is it consent?
It's consent.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, number 3, discussion to approve peddler's permit for Mike and Joe's Hopewell LLC. Any problem with that?
No, wood-fired pizza, I want some.
Good, all right. That's for resolution, consent. Next one, discussion of resolution to amend the fee schedule for building, planning, fire, and zoning. That's routine. Any questions on that?
No.
No.
Number 5, that's also for resolution. Number 5, discussion of modification. Adopted general fund budget for traffic control expenditures. So we put about 4 or 5 years ago, we put up a flashing light on Merritt Boulevard. A couple months ago, early January, we put up a camera to monitor the weather, and every 30 seconds it takes a picture of the road. 2 weeks later, a car hit it and knocked it over and killed the camera and the pole, and that's what this is about, to repair it. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting insurance on that, hopefully to recoup, or?
I don't know.
I think we approved an insurance recovery on that, didn't we, at our last meeting?
No.
I think that was
Sure.
with the highway department.
Yeah. So that money's going to be coming out of the contingent, 7,000 out of the general fund contingency, and then 2,000 out of the general fund traffic control capital outlay. So that's where that's coming from. Okay, consent?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is discussion of forming a town of Fishkill safety committee. Discussion only, but we did add this to a resolution, right?
Yeah, we have a resolution for that.
Okay. All right, any comments?
No, it needs to happen.
Yeah,
Special consideration.
Right.
so I like the idea of recreating the safety committee. I just personally think that our insurance carrier should be involved in this.
I know you sent us the email saying that PERMA does certain things.
And NYMER.
And that was NYMER, yeah.
So, I mean, it's my understanding that when, under the Lacola administration, he had quarterly safety meetings with his department heads, and NYMER either sent a representative or at least gave us the structure on, I mean, what's the sense of 5 people just throwing out ideas? Don't you want some structure of people who do this for a living? I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing it once every 2 months. Bob did it every quarter. I like the quarter thing.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Quarterly is good. You guys okay with quarterly?
Oh, I think
Yeah,
quarter.
I think someone from our insurance company should be brought in a consulting capacity, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
you got those
I'll contact NYMER and PERMA.
Okay.
Because they both do their own thing, and I think NYMER will be more ready, more want to get involved.
I appreciate that, John.
Great.
Thank you. Very good.
So that would be, that's a special consideration.
Special consideration.
Yeah.
All right, next up is discussion of resolution to hire Jason Papanella as part-time seasonal labor highway. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Next up, a discussion of resolution to hire Jennifer Hedling for a position of controller. She was here today. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
That's resolution. Discussion resolution to hire Gianna DeNevo, summer camp director. Everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
good.
Consent. Number 10, discussion of resolution of reaffirming the commitment to the town of Fishkill for full and free elections. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Number 11, discussion of budget modifications to the 2024 adopted Brickerhoff Water District budget for emergency repair. Guys, we got this done in pretty quick time. We saw something that was wrong. We acted on it immediately together, and we took care of it, and now it's time to pay the guy. Everybody's okay with that?
Absolutely.
I think so.
And well done, Mike and
Trapper.
Camo.
Camo,
Well
well done.
done.
This could have been a catastrophic problem for the people that live in Brickerhoff, and at least we have a game plan if something happens. Next up is privilege of the floor for agenda items. So at this time, anything that has been spoken today on the agenda, you're allowed to speak about. Any takers? Okay, next up is the consent agenda. I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda. Can I have a second?
Sec-
I'm
sorry.
I apologize, sir. Okay, go ahead, Hyde.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first resolution. Okay, we got 4 resolutions. The first one is the resolution to authorize modification of the 2024 adopted general fund budget. Whereas the town is obligated by the general municipal law to maintain a balanced budget in the governmental funds and priority funds, and whereas the supervisor has requested a budget modification to account for the funding required to cover the cost of mandatory testing at the joint landfill, and whereas the controller has recommended a budget modification to increase the expenditure line, Adam 8165, .0455 general fund, joint landfill outside service by $13,000, and decrease the expenditure line, Adam 12205, .0822 general fund supervisor medical insurance by $13,000, and whereas the town board has considered the proposed budget modification as submitted by the controller and deems it to be in the best interest of the town to make this budget modification, now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Fishkill hereby amends the 2024 general fund adopted budget as stated herein. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Resolution to enter an agreement with...
Sir, we need to vote.
Didn't I do that?
No. you
Second,
asked for
all in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Resolution to enter agreement, resolution to enter into agreement for engineering services with MJ, ID 9284, whereas the town desires to obtain engineering services of MJ Engineering and land surveying, PC for a water service area feasibility study associated with the potential creation of a water service area for approximately 125 homes located in the McGrath Boulevard, Haskin Place neighborhoods, and whereas the town board has received a proposal from Michael D. Panicelli, P.E., for the professional services in this manner at rates prescribed as attached hereto. Whereas the town board has reviewed the proposal, finds it appropriate, and wishes into agreement with Michael D. Panicelli, P.E., for professional engineering service. Now therefore it be resolved, the town board as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein, set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby accepts the proposal for engineering services attached hereto. Number 3, the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute any documentation necessary to give the full effect of the agreement hereby entered into the resolution. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Discussion?
Yeah, just real quick. A couple weeks ago, when we discussed this at our last meeting, Paradise Heights was the subdivision that the supervisor had brought up. I had asked about the Chaparty Place development for a similar study, we'll call it.
Yes.
And I think it was approved, and I just want to make sure in the very near future, we're going to add that.
Yes, what I really wanted to do with this was just to get MJ as a consultant and then do a resolution for this and then one for Cheer Party. So now we're going to have to do a separate one for Cheer Party.
Got it.
Okay, that'll get done. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second? John, Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next up is resolution adopting local law amending the town code, adding new chapter, utility 13139 Adam, utility poles. Resolution ID number 9287, whereas the town board has before consideration a local law entitled a local law amending the town code of the town of Fishkill to enact the new chapter 139 Adam entitled utility poles, and whereas following the dues notice, the town board held a public hearing on the proposed local law, and now therefore it be resolved as follows, that the town, number 1, the town board hereby adopts the said local law, and number 2, that the local law should be effective upon the filing in the office of the Secretary of the State in Albany. I present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next up is a resolution. Vote. Geez, I did it twice in one day.
Yeah.
I presented as a motion. Who gave me a second?
I did.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Last resolution, it would be resolution reaffirming the commitment of the town of Fishkill to full and free elections, resolution ID 9298, whereas full and free elections are essential for the well-being of the United States and the state of New York and all its political subdivisions, whereas the vigilance in regard of enforcement of the election law is necessary to ensure public confidence in the electoral process. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. Number 1, that the town board of the town of Fishkill supports full and free elections in accordance with the provisions of the United States Constitution, the New York State Constitution, and all applicable federal and state laws. And 2, that the town board of the town of Fishkill urges the responsible federal, state, and local officials charged with conducting and overseeing elections to exercise their best efforts and all due diligence to ensure that all elections are full and free and conducted in accordance with the election law. And 3, a certified copy of this resolution shall be sent to Senator Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand, Congressman Ryan, State Senator Rob Rollison, State Assemblyman Anil Beham Jr., and the Board of Elections for Dutchess County. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion.
Just want to note there is a typographical error for the spelling of Kirsten Gillibrand.
Okay.
So just It is non-substantial, if we can just clarify that error before a certified copy is sent.
Adopted as corrected.
Yes.
So
Okay, make a motion to adopt it as corrected. Can I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you,
Is
gentlemen.
it 1L, or is that what it is?
No, her name is Kirsten Gillibrand, not Kristen Gillibrand.
Ah,
Which one is wrong, the Kristen?
Yeah,
How do you spell it?
Kirsten, not Kristen.
Kirsten, K-I-R.
So there's no R?
No, it's K-I-R, not K-R-I.
Oh, so they got the I and R wrong?
Yeah, it's a
Okay. Gotcha.
common misspelling. That happens all the time.
Okay, so now we have, let's see what we got here.
Special considerations.
Now, you, Mr. Gabby, you recommend we go into executive session to discuss this other stuff? Or just establish, we could do the safety committee in the open, right?
Safety committee, certainly, as far as that goes. You'd wanted to include a provision for quarterly meetings, I believe?
It would be up to me to make that decision, right? So why would it matter?
That's true. If you want to leave it out, you can, just represent that you're going to do that. That'd be
Yeah.
fine.
I was gonna make it every two.
I know you haven't made an announcement on it, but I do want to add, under number 1, adding a representative from either NYMER or PERMA.
That's a good
on the
idea.
board committee.
You think they'll do it?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
I've heard NYMER has been encouraging us to get this started again, so.
I think it's an excellent idea to meet with them. I do not think it's a great idea to have them as members of your committee.
Yeah, they should be invited as consultants to the committee.
Exactly, for comment, or, not even ex officio.
So we don't have to put them in there then?
No, I wouldn't. I was going to suggest you put in provision that the safety committee will meet at least quarterly and shall consult with the town's liability insurer regarding safety issues. But if you want to leave it as it is with the understanding you're going to do that, that's fine.
I think we can leave it as
What is it? Thank you, John.
Yeah, we don't have to change the resolution to,
You do not need to. if
No,
they're going
no
to.
amendments needed.
that's perfect.
Okay.
That's 9305.
Yes, resolution creating a Town of Fishkill Safety Committee, ID number 9305. Whereas the Town of Fishkill is committed to ensuring the personal safety of all town employees and other individuals on town property, and whereas the Town Board wishes to create a safety committee to investigate and recommend additional or remedial measures that the town can make to promote the personal safety of the town employees and other individuals on town property. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. Number 1, the Town Board hereby creates the Town of Fishkill Safety Committee, which shall consist of the town supervisor and 4 additional members. The members of the safety committee shall be appointed by the town supervisor, but shall consist of the following: the chief of police or the chief's designee holding the rank of lieutenant or higher, a member working at town hall, a member working at the highway department, and a member working in the recreation department. Number 2, the members of the safety committee shall have no set term in office, but shall serve without compensation at the pleasure of the town supervisor until such time as the town board dissolves the safety committee. Number 3, the duties of the safety committee shall be to interview a representative set of town employees annually to determine if there are any or actual perceived personal safety threats or concerns on town property, to annually inspect and report on the personal safety measures which have been implemented by the town, and to perform such other and further tasks as the town board may from time to time request of the safety committee. I'll present that as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're going to vote on this thing when we come back out of executive session, right?
Unless you want to redact portions of it before you do, yeah, you are.
Okay.
There is
Is
one
that
bit of
the-
housekeeping, though, before we go there, if you don't mind, real quick.
Yeah.
In regard to the resolution introducing the property maintenance local law, well, you don't need to do a further resolution on it or anything. I just want to put on the record that the local law was introduced with the second sentence in 113-5B regarding the fences being removed.
Okay.
So that's the version that was being introduced, and the public hearing will be on, and we'll have that up on the website tomorrow.
Thank you for that
Okay.
clarification for the record.
It's got to be on the website, Joe, when Debbie gets back.
I'll send a clean copy to him.
Okay, all right. So we did the item of special consideration. Brian, I'm sorry. You all right?
No, I just want to be clear that the other resolution we're not doing now,
We have to do the resolution implementing personal safety measures in town hall in executive session, and then we're going to come back and vote on it. I tried to avoid that.
okay,
Well, we got time,
yep, no, I'm
So we got new and old business. Greg?
I have no new or old business.
John?
Nothing.
Brian?
So far, I'm very, very excited at the look of our new webpage as it's being designed, so that's going to be fun to roll that out eventually.
That's it?
That's it.
So, Mr. Gaba, people are back complaining about this property on 82 and 52 with the unsafe property law. Let's get that back going. I want to...
Well, you need to have it enacted before you do anything.
No, that's property maintenance. We have one with unsafe properties, that one, where we knocked down 2 houses.
Okay,
I want to get that back on the agenda.
okay.
I tried to contact the owner several times, has gotten no response, and I believe that's unsafe property, and I'd like to move on that.
So we're going to have to put out for bid the removal of the,
Well, the first thing we got to do is, what do we do, a discussion item? How do you want to do this?
Joel has already issued a violation on that property as an unsafe property. Would he need to do so again?
well, have they been before, I think they were before
Yes.
the town board. if
And
I'm
we
not mistaken.
withdrew it because they were starting to do work, and then
Wasn't that a bank or somebody that took it over?
there's some type of finance problem.
They promised, but they haven't done anything.
Right.
I got to tell you, I'm not sure if you need to cite them again or just renotice it. I'll have to talk with Joel and I'll talk with you, Ozzy, and when we'll figure it out for the next meeting, but I can't tell you right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair
for
enough.
as much as we want to move forward as quickly as possible, it is incumbent upon us to
Well, you gotta
make sure that we're doing it through the proper procedure in compliance with our own code.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to go in executive session. Have a second?
Second.
Next town board meeting.
Next
April
time.
17th.
Just to be clear, this is to seek confidential advice of counsel.
10-4.
To seek confidential advice.
So we'll be coming back in session in about 10 minutes. If you want to stay, we will be voting on that measure. So it's a safety issue.
We take 5?
Take 5.
Thank you.
Who seconded it for going into executive?
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're done with this executive session, and now we have one thing to vote on, a resolution implementing personal safety measures on town of Fishkill property, ID number 9304. Now therefore it be resolved as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs incorporated herein by reference as those set forth in full. Section 2, the town board hereby adopts personal safety measures on the town of Fishkill property as set forth above. Section 3, the town supervisor and/or his designee are hereby directed to take any actions necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I present it as a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And when did we say the next town board meeting was?
April 17th.
April 17th. See everybody later. Thank you. God bless.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That's it.